Brian. I bet today it was a great fun.
Okay, we are live and recording, so we can start whenever you'd like.
Brian, we got enough?
You're good.
I think warm weather got to
I
you
guess
today,
so.
that's why we put you over
It's
there.
okay.
That's why we put you over there. Okay, let's call this meeting to order at 7:01.
Let me do a quick test and make sure our audio is coming through. Hey, Kim Mack, could you please let me know if you can hear our audio?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, let's stand for pledge of allegiance. Flag up to our left. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dabrowski,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mrs. Keesman,
Here.
Hutchinson,
Here.
and Mrs. O'Grady.
Here.
Okay, we do not have any board members virtually.
We have no changes to the agenda as presented. We do have two pieces at your spots. One is an updated personnel report, and then the other is an unlabeled document for you that is the superintendent's self-evaluation. And we'll come to that as we talk through the agenda.
Okay. With that, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Nanette, second by Roger, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Next on the agenda, the approval of the minutes for the May 17th, 2022 regular Board of Education meeting. There are no changes. I'd ask for that approval.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Roger and a second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? None? Oh, one abstention.
Brian has to abstain.
2, 3, we have 4 people. That's enough to pass. Okay, we're looking for an approval. Well, we have one correction on the closed session. We have Brian as present, so that would be my only change to the closed session minutes. So other than that change, anything else? Any other changes? No? Looking for a motion to approve those closed session minutes from May 17th.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger, second by Nanette. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, 1, Brian. Motion passes. Item number 8, moving along.
We have no
Item number 7,
No correspondence?
any audience comments?
Hello, Audie.
Online audience?
Come on.
Just put your hand up or put something in the chat, or you can just turn your mic hot if you'd like to do that as well. Virgie, you got anything you want to say tonight?
I have audience comment. Happy birthday, Heather.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll keep you here as
I
long
was,
as
that's why I kept telling you every Friday my birthday was coming. This was the one you needed to get cake for. It's okay, it's fine. Andy was supposed to do it, but that's why he's not here.
We'll try to keep you as long as we can.
Thank you, Matt. There's no place I'd rather spend my birthday, especially my 50th, than with my Board of Ed.
Okay, next on the agenda, item 8, conduct a public hearing for the amended 2022 budget. Mary, would you like to say any words while we start the hearing at 7:06?
Yes.
last month presented a budget, amended budget. And really both the revenues and the expenditures were higher than what we anticipated. I think I explained last month that revenues were higher because the state's paying on time. So that was a big chunk of change that we didn't anticipate, didn't budget for. As well as our expenditures, most of that was in special ed transportation and special ed private facilities and services. So this is the reason why we're amending our budget, because we were going to be over budget in both of those funds. I haven't received any questions on that. It's been posted on the website. And if you remember, on the expenditures, the special ed, both for transportation and for the personnel funding, will come next year. So we'll see a little bit more coming next year because you're always in the rears 1 year. Transportation report won't be due this year. We'll see the money for next year. So at this point, for next year, we have about 4 less students in private facilities. That it was just a bad year for us. So we're hoping that they fall in line with what we've been seeing normally.
We just had some really complex cases across the board, but with some 8th graders who are matriculating up to grant. The great thing is we were able to get them the help and support that they needed. Also great fiscally is that they have headed to grant. And the other wise choice that this board has made is to keep our special education internal staffing at what it is, even with the slightly declining enrollment, because we're now able to really differentiate our programming with the even greater hope that we have to send students out for those alternative placements. It is far more fiscally responsible and better for the student to keep them here when we can. So we feel really positive about those shifts. So it's a good thing. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
And those were the only significant revisions to the budget, correct?
Any federal money or just that state money?
Some federal money, we that's the same thing. You have to spend it before you can get it. So we did spend a little bit more in the ESSER 3 grants than we anticipated, about $100,000 or so more. So we'll be getting, we have gotten that back, but we've already recognized the revenue. Corporate property replacement tax was a lot higher as well. During COVID, everything kind of just fell off the cliff. And so last year, I wasn't quite sure exactly how things were going to be, how businesses were going to be coming back. But we did see a pretty good increase, about $120,000 more for corporate property replacement tax too. So actually it was on all levels. It was local, state and federal. We did get a little bit more money for some of the taxes. Remember, we got that recapture money. We're getting a portion of that now. So we get about half of it in this fiscal year, half of it in this fiscal year. So it actually touched all areas.
Any other questions? If not, I would like to end the public hearing at 7:10.
Okay.
And with that, I need a motion to approve the amended budget as presented.
I'll make a motion. Second.
I have a motion by Nanette and a second by Jen. Please poll the board.
Keeskin,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Grady,
Yes.
Mr. Dabrowski,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes. One more.
sorry, Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
He's excited.
He was waiting.
Excited, right?
He was waiting. Call me next.
After the board meeting is over, I do need everybody to sign the document.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda representing accounts payable in the amount of $1,428,102.45. The May treasurer's report and working cash transfer to the ed fund and working cash transfer to the transportation fund. Anybody have any questions on any of those items? If not, I'd be looking for motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Roger,
I'll second.
second from Nanette. Please pull the board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Keegan?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Dabrowski?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Item 10, finance and facilities update.
Mary Taylor.
Okay, so summer work is going great. Tomorrow, we are going to be replacing this rug and in the music room that's started. In mid-July, we're going to be doing the painting in this area. The painter is pretty backed up, so we have Target, Stanton Library, and this library to be repainted.
If I could just jump in right there for a second. In painting this library, we wanted to make sure that we protected and preserved the Schooneman mural that's up here. So Matt Peters and I met with Aaron Connolly-Jort and a couple other staff members to talk about creative ways, because really the circulation desk will block that in the given design and the layout to maximize the space. So we talked about lots of different things and wanting to make sure we were very carefully handling that and respectfully for the Schoonemans. And so actually Matt Peters had a meeting with Dr. Schooneman to propose the idea of doing a full render photo of the picture, keeping that so that we have the actual photo of the mural as part of the dedication, repainting the space, and then obviously getting the new furniture in phases over time. And Dr. Schooneman was in incredible support of that, both appreciating the fact that the mural would be kept and obviously always in support of doing what's best for kids. And so allocating this space was something she could absolutely get behind. And her only ask was that when it's all completed, we invited her to come see it, which of course we would. So Ashley Wydra, who's one of our first grade teachers, is a professional photographer on the side. She's already been here, captured that image, is in editing right now. And I think it's going to be a beautiful way to preserve the past while we move into the future. So I wanted to make sure the board was aware of that plan. So
Great.
thanks, Mary.
Speaking of the library, furniture is due in early August, and we've started Stanton Playground. All the equipment has been ripped out, and that we are looking at probably mid-August before that installation is done. We're going to wipe right down to the wire
You
with
betcha.
a few of these projects, but as long as they're getting done, that's fine. So HVAC update, it's been going great over there. I don't know if you've ducked in there, but if not, feel free to go ahead and take a peek. They started on the library. The duct installation is almost complete, and it's going to be completed by next week so that the painters can get in to start on the library. Pods will be next. They've got the ceiling installation is substantially complete. And then main level is electrical rough and is approximately 40% done. Duct installation is 75% done, and they're doing the VAV installation. And then the fifth floor, the lower level, the HVAC demolition is substantially complete, and they're working on the pipe, HVAC pipe. So it's a buzzing place. It's really going great. So.
Was there any sort of timeline that they gave you on estimated completion dates? I saw the update, one of the updates, but it wasn't really a timeline of where they expect to be over the summer.
Well, they expect, the only timeline that I really have gotten is that the two rooftop units are due in mid-August. And then they'll get those hooked up. And they did mention that we may not have air in every single spot of Stanton when the kids come back, but they're pushing for that. And it's basically due to the timing of this equipment. All the other equipment should be in place well in advance, but it's those two rooftop units that are kind of, they're on schedule still, but there's kind of holding their breath on that.
I thought they were going to provide a detailed timeline.
All right, I'll get that.
To try.
Actually, we're meeting.
So we know that they're on schedule,
On task, yeah,
because we know anybody can say anything.
right. We're meeting on Thursday, so I'll get that detailed.
They're doing a great job in the meeting, so we meet every other week. They send the updates after, and they know that that exists, so we just need to get that to you. Because that was one of our guarantees.
Right.
One other thing that's going to be happening probably next week or the week after is they've come to a conclusion on the installation. They've ordered the materials. They were shipped last week, so we're just waiting for Ruben to get back to us and let us know when they can come in and take care of it. And they're gonna have to work around summer school for next. So,
Is that going through the insurance claim then, or?
it is, well, it is. It has already gone through, but there's no cost to the district, which was the biggest factor. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have to wait.
Okay.
Well, that's all my updates, unless there's anything else.
Where are we on the roof documents?
Oh, still waiting for 2 signed documents by Arthur.
Okay.
And until I get confirmation of that, I'm not,
We're not
Okay,
releasing,
so-
okay.
but we're close.
They're not getting paid until we get those signatures. But we
And it's
have all the
change
other
orders.
docs,
It's
correct?
2 change orders.
But we have all the warranties, we
We
have,
do. We have everything on jump drive, everything electronically. So,
The attorney's happy so far other than these 2 pieces.
yes.
all right,
Okay.
Great.
Anybody have any other questions?
all right. So next for the board's consideration is the updated personnel report. So you have to kind of look at old plus new. Old has the composite summary and then the letters that needed board's consideration, and then the new for you is one additional letter for board consideration. So,
Kind of a change from our normal practice. We are allowed, rather than read through every single one and vote on every single one, we can do a blanket approval, which is my recommendation. Unless somebody has a question on one of these, then we can pull that off of the blanket approval and either vote on that separately or table it or discuss it, whatever we want to do. So figure that would move things
Sounds
along going forward. Okay. And did you see the one administrator note in there?
And then the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this note.
Mr. Sessick, yes.
that was the second version of the letter. The first version of the letter did not pass Dr. Sussex first reading. So,
I'm sure it did.
perhaps prior to retirement, I will share with you the first draft, but for the board's consideration is the Christie Sepsic approved version
Yeah, I thought it was kind of short.
of Jeff's letter. Correct. So again, the
A
original,
little dry, I guess, compared
Yeah.
to what I would expect.
yeah, so I think that reflects some Christie influence.
Definitely with much regret, but we understand that we all can't work here forever, especially board members.
And superintendents.
That's true.
Well, you gotta meet Jeff's hurdle and my hurdle then. So we get those many years under your belt, that's okay.
Oh, we'll see.
With that, does anybody want to have any of these pulled off the blanket approval?
I'm fine.
Okay, so I look for a motion to approve the staffing report as presented.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Nanette, a second by Jen. We do have to pull the board, so please do that.
Mrs. Kiskin?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is, well, I have two just kind of administrative reports. These are updates for you. So the first relates to student fees, which are already approved. So this is kind of a different idea. One of the things that we are running into, well, not particularly at Stanton, is that as we've allowed students to take Chromebooks home, we have been paying for that. So if you'll know, we are one of, I very few, I can find out the fact for you how many, but one of very few, if any, districts who do not charge some sort of a technology deposit, lease agreement, something. So what I can tell you is that at the end of the 21-22 school year, we are out $4,430 in equipment. Either Chromebooks not returned, chargers not returned, or cases not returned. We have students who moved and just left with them. Damage, all kinds of things. So the idea is that we create some sort of a construct, and again, I'm not asking for board approval on this tonight, it's just kind of a concept to bring forward. Keeping in mind that our fees have remained almost the same for a very long time. When families qualify for CEP, they're immediately fee waived, and Mary does an extraordinary job of either putting together payment plans for families who are in financial hardship, who are accountable to fees but can't pay them at time of registration, and even working with them to see if not eligible for CEP, if they do qualify for the fee waiver. Another thing that this board has done in its fees is, if you'll remember, anyone who completes registration and pays their fees prior to June 30th saves $20 per student, which quickly adds up when you think about fees only being $100, $150 maximum. So comparatively across the board, we do everything that we can to keep fees low. The problem here is, and the opportunity is, tech is expensive. We need tech in kids' hands for them to be competitive. For students at Stanton in particularly, if we want them to be able to do things like the Amplified curriculum, which we just put through in terms of 6th through 8th grade English language arts, we want them to be able to do things like iReady at home, which is their tailored math practice. We can't guarantee that they have a device at home. It makes it really important that they can, if they need to, take their Chromebook home. The tech team has done an extraordinary job putting all kinds of filters on so kids can get where they need to get, can't get where they shouldn't get. And so when Chromebooks walk away, we can, to the best of our ability, track them and find them. But we also don't want to go beating on doors to battle that. So what's happened so far is that for our graduated 8th graders, I'm not really sure what to do. They don't coexist at Grant in the same student information system, so it's not like we can flag their registration there, because they have the same student ID number for the state, but 2 different platforms in terms of the student management system. I also don't want to ask Grant to micromanage our problem when these are graduated 8th graders. However, for the 5th, 6th, and 7th graders, so next year's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, their registration is blocked until we get this device back. If they have already registered, if they snuck in early, then Christy's contacted them and let them know that they will not get their schedule. They will not come to school unless they either pay what they owe us or return the device as is priced out. So in trying to get ahead of this, the idea is to create a separate strand of like a tech lease. And the concept is to do a lease to own. And I can share this from a parent perspective. So my daughter, when she went to Stevenson, they're an iPad site. And so we paid every year into the lease agreement, and she left Stevenson with her iPad. She left with the device. So not only did she have skin in the game to take care of that equipment, but when kept carefully, she walked away with the device. So conceptually then, if you put all that together, what it would look like is about $35 per year for a student starting with us in 5th grade, and then obviously amortized over time, to have access to the device, have skin in the game, and that's our wash cost, which I think is a very reasonable amount, so that by the end of their 8th grade year, they leave not costing us anything for that depreciated rate on the Chromebook. So it's kind of a win-win.
If they don't want.
If they don't want the Chromebook, then the option would be that they do daily check-in, check-out, which we have Chromebooks to do that. They would see David wrote, they would check it in the morning, they would check it out in the afternoon. It would not leave our campus. The return on that, though, would be they got to have something at home to be able to do their work, because that's just where life is. So the thinking would be that we wouldn't readily broadcast the opt-out plan, because it is basically an academic necessity. at this point. We could obviously work with our families on a payment plan, but this would not be a waivable fee. So that's why it's not put into the student fees, because I would put forward the idea that we consider it something completely different than the fees that become waivable when students qualify, when families qualify under CEP. Not CEP, direct cert. CEP is a food program, but all those get us to CEP, which is the free breakfast and lunch. So I think it would be a smart thing to move forward on. I think it builds in some responsibility for our students and families, because our current statement, what it looks like, is we just give them this.
Yeah,
We just give it to them.
a parting gift.
Well, even along the way, kids will leave them at home, come in and want to check them out, then we don't have enough for checkout, they're damaged, they're beat up. And I have to wonder if a piece of that is that it's no big deal to get it. Now, the flip side to this is all of our parent constituents are taxpayers paying Lake County property taxes. They do pay fees. Again, I wouldn't say a majority, but a lot of our families have those fees waived. So I could see that it may ruffle some feathers, but I don't believe it's at all atypical for school districts at this point in time, when technology is such an ingrained part of learning tools for kids. So I would like to bring that forward with a formal proposal for July, but it was a brand new idea that I just didn't want to spring on the board. Stanton administration is very much behind this, as is David Rote, who manages all this stuff. So I just kind of wanted to bring it up as a discussion topic and get the board's read. If it's something that you're strongly against, then I would completely respect that. I just want you to understand kind of the scope of where we are. Not a Lotus issue. Lotus doesn't send the Chromebooks home. We are ready to send them home if we needed to in the case of remote learning. We're set, we're ready, we're cord bagged, everything's ready to go. And we could certainly try that later if we needed to. That's not something right now that we feel is a priority, is the Chromebooks going back and forth for our littles, but it, especially as we implement Amplify, it is something that they're going to need to be able to do their work.
Is the majority of the stuff cloud-based where someone could access it from their own stuff?
They absolutely could.
So why don't we make that an option?
It would be an option. If they opted not to do our kind of lease to own, the only thing I would want to make sure is that they do have a device at home that they could use to get to those cloud-based services. Otherwise we're
And we're still gonna stick them with a fee?
we wouldn't stick them with the fee.
That'd be optional.
They would have the option to say, no, we're good. We want the Chromebook access at school, but we have a device at home.
Great,
And it would be basically those two options.
perfect.
And with that perspective, I don't see how anybody could reasonably be upset with that proposal. I mean, somebody certainly will, but that's why I said reasonably.
What's the, what would be like the warranty on it? In case the kid, of course, kids are kids and they break it or something happens or not function, but they're paying the $35 a year for it. What's our, we take it back and give them another one, or did we have insurance against the laptop?
We don't have insurance against them. What has been happening right now has been they pay the amortized cost of a replacement Chromebook. I mean, first of all, David and Mike do an extraordinary job of trying to be like MacGyver and fix these things whenever they can. But if it's absolutely destroyed, then they pay the cost for the full replacement.
Is there something, so it's $140, they said,
That's a depreciated cost
okay,
over that 4 years of time.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there another option of they can, for families that want to get the money back, $150 or $100 per year, and then at the end of the year, if they return it in good shape, they can get that $100 back?
We can build it however we want.
That way, they're not out of pocket anymore. But they don't get to keep it at the end of the
Right.
time frame either.
Right.
I don't know, that's more record keeping compared to this way. I've got to take that into consideration.
Yeah. I think the cleanest way is you're either in for the lease to own or you're out and you're providing your own. You're going to use it at school, check it in, check it out, and you have a home device that can access everything. Because really, to Brian's point, everything's in their Google Docs or internet-based, cloud-based work.
Check-in, check-out, that seems like an administrative nightmare or very time-consuming anyways.
Not if they're on cards, we could make it work. But Stanton and I have talked about that part.
Okay.
It would be interesting to know how many there would be.
And I would,
It's the same number of Chromebooks because you're either using it, taking it back and forth, or they're there at school. And procedurally, it's just a matter of,
I would think at least 75 to 80% of people would have access to something that could get them at home.
I don't know.
This is what other districts also do,
Mhm.
the same way,
Mhm.
approximately the same dollar amount.
So I would roll facts like that into an official proposal, just to know, just like we do with fees, just to know
I
where
was
everybody
surprised
is.
with Grant told Gavin to keep his for the summer. They didn't even ask for it back. So,
Well, if you're on the lease to own, that particular one is yours.
It is
right?
yours.
So we would do the same
We
here.
would do the same. The
Over the
only
summer.
caveat to that would be is if there are updates or upgrades that need to happen, that can't be done on a push to the devices. Again, I'm not asking for any action. If you have questions or suggestions on what you would like to see included in a proposal, just let me know, and I'll bring it forward with more facts and more details when we meet in July, if that's okay with everybody. But we're okay moving forward with the idea?
Mhm.
Okay. Then the other thing for the board's consideration is superintendent evaluation. The amazing Christie has taken us out of the 1970s
All right.
and taken that whole evaluation document and popped it in a Google Doc, into a Google survey. So what you have is my version of it, the self-eval form. It's all the same fields you had in the past. There is a link to the job description that was embedded in the old document. And so this is mine for board consideration. I can edit this version, and it is titled self-evaluation. Christy is going to send you the board evaluation, which looks very similar to this, that I can't see and I don't have access to. But you'll get it as a Google survey. You click, 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 type in whatever comments you'd like to make, and then you know how a Google survey works, is it dumps it all in an Excel document for you. So you have all the scores, you can average the scores and see all the comments in one spot.
Nice,
So it should be a more efficient process for everybody. Thank you, Christy,
definitely.
for doing that. So mine is here for
Made
your
your job
consideration. She did.
Yeah.
She did. So typically I bring mine forward to you in June, and then I don't know what kind of timeline you'd like. Christy's going to send out to the board tomorrow 2 links. One is your version of the superintendent evaluation, and the second is a link I've already been sending you in the Friday, which is your, for the board conference, if you'd like to attend or not, and then the survey on your hotel choices also made by Christy again. Oh, 2022 is here. So, and then we will do the very best we can to meet your preference on those. So those 2 links will come to you tomorrow in an email from Christy. And I just don't know what you want to do in terms of timeline for completion.
Let's see. Probably like a month and a half, I'm thinking, so then the second meeting from now, so in August. We can,
So have
When's our weekly
ours
meeting?
to you by what date, if you want it all completed and compiled by August?
a month and a half would be fine, because it all gets
It's
automatically.
automatic
Yeah,
now.
it'll take
It's just,
time.
Okay.
check that.
Awesome.
Well,
So
it'll take a little
and then-
time, but a lot less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then in August, we'll go into executive session
Okay.
to discuss all the input. Come up with an output.
So we have to have it completed in the Google by the meeting in August.
No, in a month and a half from now. So I guess put that in the email.
That's Friday,
So-
July 29th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's due. Not when you're
It's due Friday, July 29th. And the board conference input survey is due by Friday, July 1st. Christy, can you put both of those in with the links tomorrow? Awesome, thank you. All right, all good with that?
Yes.
Cool. All right, then the last thing we have for this evening is policy. We had a stack of second readings for approval. Those have been up for public review. Christy's taken that over too. So yes, I do still work really hard, but Christy is making my life a lot easier to do. Were there any questions on the updated policies, or are we ready to approve these?
I do not have
I
any
didn't have anything.
comments.
All right.
Anybody else, any comments? If not, I'd be looking for an approval of policies from chapter 7, 150, 160, 180, 190, 200, 210, 230, and 240.
I make the motion.
Motion by Roger,
I'll second.
second by Nanette. Please poll the board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Keegan?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
All right, then I have for you the last policies for review from the November press policy packet. We haven't started the May one yet because it's taken us this long to get through November's. The good news is the May packet is far more manageable. So let's take a walk through these really quick. Policy 7250 is updated with new information related to Aaron's Law. The good news is that we're already in compliance on that, so that won't change our practice at all. 7260 has updated information regarding participation in physical education for students who are participating in a religious fast, and it exempts them from physical education with no penalty. And that is important for some of our students.
Should we update
Yep.
for grades 3
Yep.
through 8?
Yeah, we try to catch all of those
Yeah.
to make them applicable just for our K-8 district.
And then on the second page there, yeah, we need to then also delete
The high school credit,
the high school there.
this whole
and then-
section.
And then well, no, not the whole.
No, this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 3 on that page also is high school related.
Then we've got 7290, which is just some updates regarding the categories of student concern, and then the requirement for student IDs to have contacts to helplines on them. So our work for that will be, I obviously send that out every Monday in the weekly family update, but we will be needing to sticker onto the kids' ID badges, particularly at Stanton, their access to helplines. So we'll be putting that into action for the fall. 7310 was just updated with the legal references, so no substantive changes there. Also the same for 7340. And then 7345 is updated with that's the SOPA, the Student Online Personal Protection Act. That actually went into effect July 1st of 21. We are in compliance on that already. And then 870 is updated with legal references only after the 5-year review. And, oops, we missed 8100. The change here is a legal reference after review, doesn't change any of our practices at all. But what is interesting is within this community relations is we are now required, we've done all that work on threat assessment, if you remember. There are policy approvals for that, and those threat assessment processes are now required to be shared not only with local law enforcement, which we do at the beginning of every school year, but now also with the regional office. So all points of contact have that in place. Mike Karner, who is the regional office superintendent, and I are working very closely because I'm the president of Lake County Superintendent. So he asked us to create a template for that to then send out to the other districts. So we've done it, we're in compliance, and we are the model for other Lake County school districts in 8100.
And those are not FOIA-able.
Those are not FOIA-able.
I can't remember if that was last one that said that or this one. I can't.
That was this one. Okay. So we will Chrissy, you and I can walk through those and pull the high school references. But we'll get those polished and up for public review. I have no other information items. The July board meeting is the 12th, which please make a note of that. It's a week earlier than we would typically meet. Thank you for the board's flexibility on that. Joint annual conference dates are here for you. And then Christy, we had a FOIA, right?
Yeah.
And that's been handled.
That one.
May 19th. Purchasing records, it just surprises me how far back they can go. It seems excessive.
That was excessive. I had over 1,000 pages.
Yeah, are we charging people?
Did you send it electronically?
I did send it
Yeah.
electronically.
Can we charge for any administrative time when
Can't
it's
charge.
something like
At the
that?
current point, you can't charge for time, you can charge for copying.
Well, does that include going to the scanner and scanning it in though? That's copying. I mean, it's
Charge
just
a little more for
excessive.
ink.
I know.
Yeah, that's a
Oh, yeah.
lot, I mean.
I'm assuming you
Yeah,
checked with other
That's-
districts and they responded on that one. Yeah.
This is the one that comes probably quarterly. I'm pretty sure we sent them information since 2016. Because Crest gets it as well, so I know all the schools should get it, but to see it go
Tell them
back to
next time, look in your
2016.
records and say, you already have it.
it was-
If that's possible, I don't know.
They know how to respond if they don't like that answer. It's included in the FOIA, so I would agree. If we think it's excessive, next time say, we just sent you, responded on this date, please review your records. There you go. All right. We have nothing for closed session unless the board has something they'd like to talk about.
I haven't been totally up on it, but what, with the new sex education, I know there's gonna be an opt-in or an opt-out.
There is. Kim Husko and I are working on that from Stanton's Lens. That's what the policy hasn't come through for you yet. She's always had an opt-in, opt-out, so it's just a matter of even more clearly communicating our processes for that. So she and I are going through what are the required mandates for sex ed, because some of it's required. And there are some shifts in what's required, so I want to get her stance on it. When we went through it at first glance, she had no concerns about what's included in our curriculum, being able to share resources with parents who may pose a question, and then has always had an opt-in, opt-out process. What we haven't done is like push it out. She's done it quarter by quarter with the kids participating in health. But what that mandate would indicate is we have to have something more streamlined and more publicly posted for the opt-out if parents opted for it. So we'll be bringing that forward to you.
And what is the, is there some kind of new suggested curriculum in regards to this, or is?
There are curriculum requirements in terms of what the mandate is. There's nothing stated what we have to use, which is why Kim and I are going through what's in place, what's been in
Is there a
place.
suggestion as to what you're supposed to use?
It depends. There's nothing official from ISB that says that. There are lots of different perspectives on that, which is why we're looking at the specifics of the mandate, what we've included, and if there are holes in our instruction, but we're not looking for a curricular add.
Right.
Does that make sense? Okay. But again, that policy was in that November press set, and I want to be able to bring forward, because I know that there's a lot of information about that, so I want to be able to bring forward exactly how we're approaching that. Kim has summer curriculum writing hours, and that's what we'll be working on. But the intent would be to beef up our opt-in, opt-out communication, crosswalk the required mandates with what is being taught, and identify any gaps, but nothing substantially new in what's happened.
So what, they just opt out of that sex ed portion, or what? Are they opting out of health altogether?
The sex ed portion.
That's just a sex ed
Yeah.
portion? And this for what grade levels?
5A.
Anything else? Since we're done so early, I'd like to go through every line on this accounts payable.
We already approved it. It's already been approved. It was approved in the consent agenda, I believe. I will share with the board that my son just hit a game time triple.
Oh,
He had a 3-run homer earlier in the game,
Wow.
so I can give you a quick update on where we are. We are no longer tied.
This is
Bad
birthday
guys.
presents to you.
Yes.
Go back out.
A game changer.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, right?
Came through.
7. All right,
All right,
more coming.
I'll make a motion.
motion by Roger to
I'll
adjourn,
second.
second by Nanette at 7:47. All in favor? Opposed? None, motion passes. What were you shooting for?
45.
Oh,
7:02.
It was 45.
No, but we didn't start till 7:02.
Decided to delay it.
Thanks, everybody. But we should.
All right.
We should settle.
Okay, good.
Not only cake, but the good cake.
That's right.
Nothing won.
Yeah.
Had I not been sitting in my pool, I would have baked, but sorry.